flag waver from the word go. For when I was small, I used to sell poppies on the corner back in Arkansas. Was in pageants when we had parades, and my second grade teacher introduced me to singing. And since then, I have never stopped with that. So this is about our music and our liberty and our country and the prayers that our country needs right now. And you'll have to forgive me, I will have to read this. History and I do not agree on dates. I cannot remember them. So I will be reading some of them. In 1773, we had the Revolutionary War, which started the Boston Tea Party. And we all know of Paul Revere's ride, The British Are Coming. Maybe you don't know, he did not finish that. He was shot and hurt, and so someone else continued the ride to let them know, so they met the British, and in 1781 the British surrendered at Yorktown so that we had our freedom from Great Britain. We were now we had our own country, United States of America. And then in 1776, July the 2nd, Declaration of Independence was signed, but they thought later they would go to July 4th to make it official. And in 1789, our Bill of Rights were incorporated, such as freedom of speech, assembly, and worship. In 1812 to 14, we had the War of 1812, which was another fight with Great Britain. But at that time, in 1814, you all know the Star-Spangled Banner. And a part of that with the rockets' red glare and the bombs bursting in air gave proof that our flag was still there, which is a wonderful feeling when you're singing that song. America was written in 1831. Some of the words from that: long may our land be bright with freedom's holy light. Protect us by thy might, great God our King. So he comes with all of our music. We have to remember that. And then in 1861, where the Civil War, the first shot at Sumter Hill, and that started at the fort with the Northerners because of shipping. They were trying to block some of the South with the shipping. It evolved into the slavery, and which we all know, which was very wonderful, that it gave the freedom to all the blacks from being shipped from one place to another. And then in 1862, the Battle Hymn of Republic was written. Now, what probably you don't know, it was written by a Southerner. And a lady by the name of Julia Ward was going through the hospitals down there. She heard the music and rewrote the song of it and rewrote the words to become the Battle Hymn of the Republic, which was for the North. Dixie was the song of the South. That was written by a Northerner a few years before the war began, and they called that, the New Yorker called this the walking around song. Don't ask me what it means, I don't know. That's just so I guess you walk around and sing. And then we come to 1865, which the war ended in Appomattox. In 1914 and 1918, we had World War I. With that, the song was the caissons keep rolling along, which you can imagine those old cumbersome things rolling along with all of our army. The pastor told me something that I didn't know just before the service, is that taps was written at that time because there was an officer in the northern forces, had a son in the southern forces, and he wanted to have a service, and they wouldn't allow him to have the service, so he wrote taps for his son instead. And the famous song of that time was from George M. Cohan Jr. wrote Over There. And I know all of you know Over There. And in 1940, FDR presented him with the Congressional Medal of Honor for writing that song and for all the morale helping all during World War I. And then we move on to 1924. We had our Pledge of Allegiance adopted. And then in 1939, World War II started in Europe with Hitler. At that time, there were songs that were coming through. One of them was Coming In on a Wing and a Prayer because of the channel between England and France. And we saw pictures of those planes. You can understand that coming in on a wing and a prayer, that the Lord had to be with those men as they came across, and you hear, that would be the one thing they would talk about, the number of prayers that they had as they were coming in. And then 1941, we had Pearl Harbor on December 7th, and FDR declared war on December the 8th. And one song that, we had many different songs on there. One thing I did learn too, I did not realize there was a certain order for the U.S. forces. You have to start with the U.S. Army. And their song at that time was still, the caissons keep rolling along. In the meantime, it was changed in about 1956 to the U.S. Army, and they were still using the same tune. They just changed the words, but the final end of it is the U.S. Army keeps rolling along. Same thing to the other caissons keep rolling along. Our country just keeps going and going and going. And then now we go along to the Marine hymn. And in that, there is fight for the right and freedom and to keep our honor free. And the third one is the Navy. Anchors away. One of the verses is, roll out the TNT and go on to victory. That was one you don't always hear. Mostly you hear about the Army-Navy game where they're going to sink the Army Gray. And then you get to the Army Air Corps. And that one was live in fame or go down in flame. Nothing can stop the Army Air Corps. On that, my brother was in the Army Air Corps and wound up with a rheumatic fever. He was at Sawtell out of LA. And at that time with the gas rationing, we didn't have enough gas to go up there. Mother and Dad both worked at National Supply in Torrance. The people, when they had an extra stamp, just one extra stamp, would give it to one of my parents so that every so often we would be able to have enough gas to go up and see my brother up at Sawtell. Now you can't have anything any better than that, somebody giving up their gas stamps. At that time we were rationing, and it was a wonderful feeling. And then the Coast Guard, we were always ready, do or die, we fight for you. And all of them are always fighting for our country. And the bravery of all of our men now, we have all of these other wars all over the world, and we get involved with some of those, but they're always for liberty. The Army Air Corps changed to U.S. Air Force in 1947, and one thing about that, also from the pastor, his oldest brother joined the Army Air Corps. His youngest brother joined the U.S. Air Force. And then we come on to the God Bless America. I'm fortunate I have a tape of a movie, This is the Army, which has a lot of movie stars in it. It happens to have President Ronald Reagan in there, and a whole bunch, Joe Louis, a lot of men. They list every one of those people in there, but they show a reproduction of, and Kate Smith is in it, of when she was recording God Bless America. There are a lot of things that this song means a great deal to me. It was written by Irving Berlin, and I will tell you this, if you ever heard him sing, you will forgive my singing. Anymore, my singing is gone. It used to be coloratura, it goes down to contralto. Sometimes I feel like one of these teenage boys because I never know whether it's going to go down or go up on me. And but the verse, listen to the verse if you don't know it, because actually, God Bless America is a prayer it's asking you for a prayer for America. So after we're through with this, all during the week or the rest of your life, sing God Bless America, hum it, whistle it, and be proud of your country and think of praying for your country every day. While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love.
night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam.